you guys have ever seen Breaking Bad, think of Hank Schrader. This is your guy right here. And if you haven't seen that show, I don't care what you're doing. That is more important. You need to go do that tonight. Zach is a full-time cop, obviously. He just barely landed his first deal. Tell these guys the niche, the amount.
Yeah, so first deal landed, it's concrete, and I got him for $375 a week. 6-month contract.
We were talking about today, we went to lunch, and he said, this is another thing you were kind of overthinking, is you're like, man, I kind of was worried about that they might, you know, when I brought up the contract, maybe they would throw a fit or whatever. And did the guy say a word?
No, and the contract was actually a big one. So I preemptively, just like you teach, you know, preemptively brought up the objection first. And I feel like I sold that area pretty good. And I almost led it to, yeah, we used to do 12-month, but sorry, I don't offer that anymore because we've, you know, ran into problems having, you know, we want to switch business owners or just find it's not a good fit. And I feel like that wasn't even a concern because he kind of had in his mind, well, shit, most people are wanting 12-month, but he's only going to give me a 6-month. So yeah, didn't bat an eye at the contract, anything.
This just came to my mind. So as he just said, sometimes these things that we get in our heads, we think are going to be a big deal. And then what happens is we realize it's not a big deal at all. We get good at bringing it up. So dude, tell us real quick, was the close harder, easier? Like, what did you think it was going to be like, and how was it actually like?
So that's the thing, just like you said, overanalyzing everything. So, I mean, I'm thinking what possible objections, I mean, everything that could have gone wrong with this call went wrong.
All the things I'm like, hey, make sure to not do this. All of that stuff, it ended up happening because this business owner just weird situation. Tell them all the wrong stuff so they can realize, like, you don't got to overthink this stuff.
Yeah, so I feel like I did most of the setup correctly, followed everything in the training, did the setup correctly. By the time I'm trying to get to this Zoom meeting, I had to do multiple pullbacks, found out my business owner is just really shitty at answering his phone. Try to get him behind a computer, doesn't have a computer. And so I'm like, okay, well, we'll scratch that. We're going to go with the phone. So try to get him on the call. He's 45 minutes late, jumps on the phone, hasn't watched my, you know, the stuff that I've sent him because all he's got's a phone. Yeah, we finally get on the call and his microphone's not working. So I'm sitting here trying to read his lips. So finally I call him on the phone. So I got phone audio and then I'm using my Zoom meeting and it's just an absolute shit show. He's sitting at his house, his wife's in the background. Like it was just, yeah, if something could have gone wrong, it did. And I thought there was going to be some objections, especially where he was so bad at technology, he doesn't own a computer. I was thinking maybe the price was going to be the issue. But yeah, go through the whole thing, explained everything well to him, and go to drop price. He kind of looked over at his old lady, and I thought, oh shit, he's going to object to this. And he had been paying for Angie's leads, and we kind of talked about those. I harped a lot on what he's getting for those and how basically that's a waste, and dropped the price, and he had zero objections. I mean, all he had after was a question about the amount of leads that, you know, I thought I could produce for him. So I was kind of shocked that he didn't have objections. And then I dropped, when he told me he was a MasterCard guy, I had to basically pick up my jaw off the floor. So
what he's talking about, for those that maybe are new to this call, is one of the things that I always like to joke about is when you go for the close, instead of saying, hey, you want to do it, and asking a yes, no, it's a terrible idea. You just assume the deal and say, hey, are you an Amex or Visa? Let me grab your card. Let's do this thing, right? And so he's referring to that. And guys, it's crazy how many times I've heard this exact same story. And you do it, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I'm a MasterCard. And you're like, what? And you like try to ask questions. You're almost fumbling the deal. And it's because you didn't expect it. You almost anticipate all this pushback. So for those out there that think that this is like some crazy rocket science, guys, you follow the steps, you send the leads, and out the other side pops a deal. Like it's like clockwork. For those that are overthinkers, dude, I remember you asked, between asking me and Porter, how long did it take you to decide a niche, dude? Like 2 months?
Yeah, once I finally decided, it was a lot quicker, but I think I was telling you I was looking when really I was probably dragging my feet, overanalyzing, a little bit of self-doubt, that kind of stuff. So once I actually started looking and did the training, I don't think it was, you know, too difficult, but it was just actually pulling the trigger on this is what I need to do.
And then I remember, but so you chose the niche, and then it was like, well, then you kind of drug your feet. And I'm only sharing this like because I know that the next deal, you're not going to overthink it as much, and it's part of who you are, and it can be really good, it can be really bad. But then when you chose the city, then it's like, oh, now we're overanalyzing this. And I remember you're like, what do you think about this? I'm like, I checked it out. I'm like, dude, it looks great. Send it, And you did, and lo and behold, you got a deal. So I think a lot of times those that are overanalyzers is, yes, they're analytical, but like, I think you hit it perfectly. It's like a lot of times there's like that self-doubt. And so is there anything that you can share other than just the sheer advice of like, you just got to do it and be okay if it doesn't work? Is there any other advice for people that are, because dude, I think there's more overanalyzers than there are not. I think that's more the rule than the exception. That's why I really want to talk about this. Any advice there for overanalyzer types?
Honestly, the area where I shoot myself in the foot is I look back and I think, man, if I would have actually been doing this, just like you talked about with Porter, if I'd have been doing this for the last 90 days or, year and a half, as long as I've known about it, I would have, where could I be? So obviously that kind of stuff sucks. But yeah, I think ultimately mine, unfortunately, had to come through decisions that happened at work and things with the 9 to 5 that finally pushed me to the point where I was like, okay, I'm done fucking around. I need to, get this done. And so that was kind of my thing. But yeah, I think for the people that are worried about imposter syndrome or, self-doubt, I think you just need to trust the process. Like that's the only way you're going to overcome that is by trusting the process. I kind of, one of the things that I did that shot myself in the foot, but it helped me overcome it is I just sent them a couple more leads. You know what I mean? So I ran ads for a little bit longer than necessary, longer than I'll run ever again. But it kind of gave me a little bit more confidence in my ability to actually be able to produce the leads, because that's kind of a fear for us that overanalyze or have imposter syndrome is you're telling this person that you're going to be doing something that you've never done before. And so it is hard. It's like, am I going to be able to do it? Am I going to fall flat on my face? Am I going to be lying to this guy? And no one wants to be that guy. So I think if you are struggling with that, start it, get it going, and then maybe send them a couple more leads if that's a huge concern. But yeah, there's zero reason to drag your feet like I did.